I was raised to believe people should treat each other right, but a lot of the times they don't. Why won't you take care of your customer?
What part of your job's done didn't you understand?
Well, see, because you don't tell me my job's done. You're not a real taxi. Can you tell us who you're with? They'll lie, cheat, and steal from you. Sir, we'd like to talk to you about possible prosecution for selling a stolen car. They think nobody cares.
Okay, turn the camera off right now.
I care, and that's why TrustDALE Investigates. Owning your own home is considered the epitome of achieving the American dream. But all too often, buying a home can become a nightmare. On this show, we tackle real consumer problems, hold people accountable, and make victims whole. We call our first story, House of Horrors.
I felt like I was an octopus being ripped to shreds by everyone.
Maybe that's because Gayla, Canada, has been literally overwhelmed by water ever since she moved into this house.
When we purchased the house, the first thing we encountered was a flood within 7 days of moving in here. Backed up septic tank in the kitchen and the bathroom down here.
Down here is her basement. And if this was smell-o-vision, you'd know what else she's been dealing with.
And I had somebody come out the first day, that same day. He wasn't here 10 minutes. He shone a light on my boots and things in the closet, and there were white spores all over my clothes.
Yeah, that's right, mold. But let's take you back to the beginning. At the beginning of last year, Gayla and her aging mother saw this home listed for sale. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. But what she didn't know was that a year before, this is what the house looked like. Burnt out and exposed to the elements. When the builder bought the house to flip, the name of the game became rebuild fast and frugal.
Especially flippers. People who are buying houses and upgrading them and doing them for their own account are notorious, mostly because they're always looking for more money. And unfortunately, the consumer becomes a victim.
And Gayla says she's a victim of false advertising and placing her trust in the hands of others.
I thought it would be a blessing to move it here, but I'm thinking that it's been such a nightmare. And then the house was making me sick. The house was sick. I'm just so distraught about the whole thing.
Because it appears that the builder cut corners to make a bigger profit, starting with the septic system.
This is the septic tank, and these are the field lines that obviously run back and forth across the rear of your yard.
We contacted the state health inspector who oversees permitting septic systems. He came out personally to evaluate Gayla's septic footprint.
For a 5-bedroom house, you have to go up to a 1,500-gallon septic tank. And the number of field line that would be required if it was installed would be 325 feet. And this has 150.
This is woefully inadequate.
It's definitely undersized, yes, for what the code calls for the size house.
As for the mold, instead of remediating it during the remodel, the builder simply thought painting over it was a better course of action. Is this creating a health concern for Gail and her family?
It could, in that it's prospering mold. There's spores all over the place.
Coming up, hear what happens when we confront the contractor who built the House of Horrors.
She's coming with all these problems. You know what I mean? Every time she comes up with something, I come and take care. I feel like she's using my kindness.
And see how a team of caring companies come to Miss Canada's rescue. That's next on TrustDALE Investigates.
Chuck just got his paycheck, and 25% was garnished, all because he couldn't pay a creditor. But Chuck got a letter from Clark and Washington, too. They know about his situation, and they're offering a free consultation with an attorney. They've even fronted Chuck the money to file bankruptcy and stop the garnishment. Call us at 770-488-9300 or visit CW13.com to schedule your consultation today.
Think soap and water is the best way to clean natural stone? My research shows that's just not so. I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. To maintain your natural stone's beauty, don't just clean it, Stanley Steam it. The same company you trust for floor, tile, and duct cleaning also cleans your stone surfaces. Natural stone is very porous, meaning it absorbs stains and spills just like carpet. Stanley Steamer knows it takes a delicate touch to properly clean, preserve, and protect your investment naturally. For all your stone surfaces, it's simple. It's Stanley Steamer. Welcome back to TrustDALE Investigates, where we're about to confront the builder of Gala Canada's House of Horrors. After discovering that the contractor was dodging code requirements when he rebuilt Gala's home, we made several calls to his company, finally getting the owner on the line to share our findings and answer our questions. We've had a good number of experts come out to try to determine what our problem is, and what we've learned is that when you rebuilt the house and made it a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, you didn't upgrade the septic system. It's a code violation, and she has a mess now.
The house is a 3-bedroom. The basement got those 2 bedrooms on there, but the basement does not count as a bedroom, sir. The basement, you could use the basement, but they're not count as bedroom.
Well,
you could use them as whatever you want to do, because a lot of people use them as office homes.
The problem is that you advertise the house as a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, and in the seller's disclosure statement, there's nothing about a required upgrade to the septic system, and that's what you're responsible for. So at the end of the day, we just simply want you to pay for her having a septic improvement, and we'd like to give you that opportunity before we tell everybody what you did and who you are.
You know what, Dad? That might be a good thing for me. Let everybody know. What I did, because what I did, I turned a rat hole into a nice house. I turned a rat hole into a nice house.
And you sold it as though it was a septic system that would support 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and that was wrong. So we never did convince him to have a change of heart and pay to upgrade the septic system. So we're following his suggestion and naming him and his company. The builder was Eric Luisius, owner of the Pierre Luisius Group. And as of this taping, the company is still bragging about the, quote, rat hole they turned into a nice house. So now you know. But we weren't going to walk away from Gala like he did. Instead, we reached out to some caring companies to help make the family whole. First, Septic Blue came out to pump out and flush the tank. It's a time-consuming and, quite honestly, unpleasant process. After the tank was clear of debris, Septic Blue's knowledgeable technician, Benjamin, delivered an honest evaluation.
What this tells me right now, realistically, is just you unfortunately had a fluke accident where your tank backed up. It could have been done to the tank not being serviced in a while, or just something hung up in the line. But as of right now, there's no indication that anything's going on with your tank. It looks good.
That is such a relief.
Yes, ma'am.
And once everything in the backyard was back to normal, TrustDALE took care of the tab. Gail, TrustDALE's taking care of your septic pumping today.
Thank you so much, Dale.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You've been through a whole lot.
Thank you.
You can thank Septic Blue, too, for doing a professional job. But we weren't finished. The next item on the checklist was remediating the mold that was painted over prior to purchase. How big of a job is this to remediate?
It will take about a week, and it's dealing with the surface mold and cleaning the place up, and then changing the environment, because this is too moist now. And when you take care of the problem with the septic tank, as well as possibly some of the leaking in the walls, that'll get rid of the moisture, and there won't be an environment for the mold to grow anymore.
And that's just what Moldstoppers did. Their trained technicians got in, scrubbed the walls, filtered the air, and rid the entire basement of mold. But the best part was yet to come. Gail, Joe and I are very, very sorry that this has happened to you, but Joe's a really good guy, and we're here to tell you that TrustDALE and Moldstoppers, we're going to remediate your mold problem at no charge.
Oh. Kevin, did you hear that? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. We care about you.
Handshake, you got the hug.
You bet, Kevin. You bet. And we've also notified the county of what the state tells us is Mr. Luisia's code violation, a red flag, so to speak, for the next time he attempts to pull a permit. Just ahead, see what happens when we confront a contractor who built a dangerously shabby deck. Are you going to do something for the Merricks? Or is it okay just to take their money and move on to the next job? and find out what home service website is not looking out for consumers.
Chuck's in over his head. He's drowning in credit card debt with no hope of ever paying it off. Now creditors are threatening to sue. What's Chuck to do? One call to Clark in Washington is all it takes, Chuck. They can throw you a lifeline to rescue you from your debt. If you're drowning, you call a lifeguard. If you're drowning in debt, call Clark in Washington.
In all my years of consumer reporting, this adage rings true. Good companies take pride in their successes, but great companies take ownership of their mistakes. When a couple hired a contractor from a well-known web referral site to build their deck, he became downright profane when they started questioning the quality of his work. Watch. Dale Cardwell with TrustDALE Investigates. How are you?
How are you? Thank
We're here about Rob and Rose Merrick and your deck job that you did for them.
You did a deck job for Rob.
Yeah. Our code inspector says it's not up to code and it was built beneath code.
Oh, okay.
But they're also more concerned about your customer service and the manner at which you address them. Are you going to do something for the Merricks? Or is it okay just to take their money and move on to the next job?
Come on.
Rose and Robert Merrick hired a contractor to expand their deck. But the Merricks say instead of building a deck, he built a headache.
This whole thing has to be redone. The frame itself is supposed to be double banded. It's single banded. This over time is going to literally, I feel, fall.
From hardware to basic construction, the Merricks say at best, they have a mess on their hands. At worst, a dangerous deck.
I see that there's joist brackets that are missing, and also that where there's certain things that are not to code, such as obviously a 4x4 in the cornerstone that holds up the deck is supposed to be a 6x6 and not a 4x4.
The builder's name is Mike Murray, and here's a picture he's posting on Facebook, promoting the work he's doing. He's certainly well built. Too bad the same can't be said about the deck. In addition to his shoddy work, Mike Murray's text messages to the homeowners are peppered with salty language. To give you an idea of how distasteful the messages are, listen as our TrustDALE team members read a few verbatim. Let me apologize in advance for all the beeps we have to use, covering up his unsavory language.
Guy I don't know with my business, I'll kick his ass. Tell all your friends the same thing. I don't ask for them to with me. Now they are. Game on.
Hey, stick, when you're ready, let me know. I'll beat your chubby ass for you. Got your address. Facebook's fun until it gets real. Let me know, you fat piece of garbage. Ugly kids, too.
Oh, and by the way, you too. I'm sick of your crazy off.
Wow, talk about unprofessional.
I would never treat a customer that way, ever, ever. Even, I would never use that language.
The Merricks found the contractor, Mike Murray, on Thumbtack, an online referral site. Murray appeared legit, but the Merricks say he's a poor craftsman and has a nasty attitude. We asked Thumbtack to justify keeping Murray on their webpage. They replied that safety is very important to them. Customers can look for background check badges on pro profiles, which indicate the pro has completed and passed a background check through an accredited third-party background check provider. And after our email, Thumbtack did the right thing and partially refunded some of the Merricks' money, allowing them to have a true professional advise them going forward.
So, as you and I were especially walking underneath the deck, what did you see that was like not to code?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, it'd be an 11.
Robbie Boyd of Ben Hill Renovations says the Merricks' experience with a bad builder is not unique.
We see this so commonly, and just to be quite honest with you, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of there not being a voice for potential homeowners that's wanting to get something done.
The dangerous deck needs to be torn down.
There are missing bolts that are clearly missing their mark on the joists, keeping this all in place.
Rose and Robert are happy with the new builder they found and say it's great to see the wooden boards actually going in straight lines. And while their deck is almost ready for them to host a party, they're reminding all of us to take heed from their story.
Buyer beware and educate yourself. educate yourself, and the tools are out there to do it. There's no reason not to educate yourself online.
Coming up.
I went in for a basic oil change and then pretty much my car got shot.
This could happen to you. See the hoops one couple had to jump through to get Manny, Mo, and Jack to make good on their mistake. That's next on TrustDALE Investigates. Think soap and water is the best way to clean natural stone? My research shows that's just not so. I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. To maintain your natural stone's beauty, don't just clean it, Stanley Steam it. The same company you trust for floor, tile, and duct cleaning also cleans your stone surfaces. Natural stone is very porous, meaning it absorbs stains and spills just like carpet. Stanley Steamer knows it takes a delicate touch to properly clean, preserve, and protect your investment naturally. For all your stone surfaces, it's simple. It's Stanley Steamer.
I'm Sharon Hess.
And I'm Kurt Hess, and we own Mommy Management, a personal assistance company.
Our clients need every service under the sun, from plumbing to painting, even pet grooming. So it's important to hire the right company the first time. That's why we use TrustDALE.
TrustDALE companies are local and meet a transparent 7-point investigative standard and never require our clients' personal information. And the best part, every recommended company is backed by Dale's Make It Right guarantee.
They've done the research, and it's free for you at TrustDALE.
The purpose of taking your car in for preventative maintenance is to prevent a problem. But for one family, a routine oil change put a wrench into their transportation routine. Pay attention, because this could happen to you. That insurance adjuster wasn't the only one having trouble. This couple is going on 3 months without their family vehicle.
I went in for a basic oil change and then pretty much my car got shot and wasn't able to drive my kids to and from school or to work.
According to the Davis family, problems started after a routine oil change at a Pep Boys service shop. Not long after, the car's check engine light alerted them to a potential problem, so they brought it back in.
They cranked the engine and they heard a knocking noise, which ensured that the engine was in fact dead.
In fact, the oil was on the bottom of the pan of the car and no oil in the engine.
The engine was shot, and although Pep Boys admitted their error, the Davis attempts to get back on the road continued to stall out.
Mistakes happen. I get it. It happens all the time, but you just want to make sure you get taken care of, and that's what I assumed would have happened.
But it didn't.
It sat there at the shop in a bay for a month and a half before we had some kind of a resolution to start the process of getting the engine changed.
Finally, Pep Boys sent an insurance adjuster to look at the damage and cut the Davises a check to cover the repairs. But they were still without a vehicle, and at this point, Pep Boys wasn't willing to front the money for a rental.
I attempted to talk to everybody that I could there, and nobody would return a call. You couldn't get anybody on the phone. You couldn't talk to anybody's boss.
I feel like there was no accountability, no sense of urgency, and I just feel like the lack of communication that we received from all of them in general was, it left us with a little heartburn.
Frustrated and feeling ignored, they reached out to TrustDALE to make it right.
At this point, we have no idea when we're going to have a car, how long it's going to take.
The day?
But it didn't take long after our TrustDALE team got involved that the Davis' phone started ringing, and Pep Boys started getting to work making it right.
We started hearing a lot of information after contacting TrustDALE.
The customer declined a rental car initially.
So that's incorrect. So his wife is...
TrustDALE producer Shay Allen called Pep Boys' corporate office.
And within minutes, we received a phone call from the adjuster who initially did the estimate on the vehicle.
Do you need a rental?
Yes, sir.
Thanks to good documentation, it wasn't long after when...
It was boom, 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 boom.
If we cost you money, I'm going to get you your money. We messed up your car, I'm going to get you your car back. You're without a car, I'm going to get you a rental.
Finally having the rental car, the reimbursement for, obviously the car sitting and us not being able to do anything with it, the insurance and what we were out of pocket of a car that we weren't able to use at no fault of our own.
A cautionary tale for consumers when servicing their vehicles, but a win for the Davis family.
With your help, we've gotten not just answers that we'd like to hear. We've actually got some good resolutions coming our way. I felt like we finally had somebody in our corner, not to only just listen to us, but actually help us get a resolution.
It was fantastic.
We had a voice.
Yes, we had a voice. It was great.
Just ahead, avoiding the rip-off range. We'll expose the latest scam the cons don't want you to know about.
They're calling about the manufacturer's warranty on your vehicle that may be expired.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell, and this is consumer news we can use. Nothing takes more wear and tear in your home than your floors. From pet paw scrapes to kids' scooter scuffs, finding the right floor for your family can take a bit of research. Our expert, Mark Montini of Floor Coverings International, explains what you should consider when investing in new floor covering.
You can have beautiful product, but if you have bad installation, it doesn't achieve the ultimate goal.
And for Floor Coverings International, that goal is to fit your family's function and style. But when it comes to flooring, installation matters most.
Making sure that all of the installation is done in a way that protects the warranty on the product, and more important, that you don't pay that last payment until you're 100% satisfied at the end of the installation process.
Great advice. But before you commit, you need to know exactly what you're getting. That's why Floor Coverings International sends their showroom to you.
It all starts with our free in-home consultation. Our design associate will bring our mobile flooring showroom that has over 3,000 different product options that the customer can look at in their home, under their lighting, next to their furniture, compare it to their wall colors. We really focus on working with that homeowner to listen to what the homeowner is trying to achieve and then manage that project all the way through the installation.
What should I expect when we talk about pricing?
At Floor Coverings International, we include everything. Things like furniture removal, removing the waste or the debris from the job, using manufacturer-approved underlayment under the flooring to make sure that the warranty stays intact. All of those things need to be included for the homeowner to really do an apples-to-apples comparison of who is the best choice to install their floors.
Call today to set your appointment, and Floor Coverings International will come to you. Welcome back to TrustDALE Investigates. Do you ever feel like you're surrounded by scams? It's because you are. But you can avoid getting taken by a con if you follow my advice to help you avoid the rip-off range. No matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, it happens multiple times a day.
Hey, thank you for holding. This is Darren with National Dealer Service.
A solicitor calling my cell phone.
Calling about the manufacturer's warranty on your vehicle that may be expired.
Okay,
it looks like here it is expired.
How did you get my phone number? They got it because companies sell your number to these scammers. Plus, they're using the power of computers to simultaneously dial billions of numbers. According to the spam monitoring service Hiya, robocalls are on the rise. 26 billion calls to Americans in the last year alone. And even the most savvy consumers are unable to cut them off.
So I get this call generally once or twice a day, and there's an option on the menu that you can be removed from the call list. And I've never been removed from the call list.
And you probably haven't either. That's because there are two sets of robocallers, those based in the U.S. and those overseas. The Federal Trade Commission has fined domestic robocallers hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the foreign dialers are all but impossible to stop. But you can still have fun with them.
I'm going to go ahead and transfer you now, sir. All the questions you have, they're going to answer them, give you the details about the extended warranty on your vehicle. Just hold the line, Mr. Springsteen, one moment.
I was born to run. I will.
So how do you stop them? Don't answer a number you don't recognize, because once you pick up, they'll mark it as a valid number and they'll continue to call you. Another option, you can download an app for a fee that will intercept the call for you. Don't ever call a number back, especially those that begin with the digits 1 through 10, because those are foreign exchanges and they're going to charge you to make that call. This is information you need to know to avoid getting caught in the rip-off range. Taking advantage of anyone's kindness isn't right, but when a disabled senior citizen's the target being taken, it's particularly cruel. We call our final story, Pool Liner Liar.
It took me 2 years to save for the pool.
Mary Fisher is 82 years old, and she swims regularly to stay healthy and on her feet.
I have arthritis in my legs, and the doctor told me, if you don't use them, Mary, you're going to lose them. So I started using the water aerobics.
For years, she's exercised in her home's pool, but recently it's fallen into disrepair. That's when Mary and her daughter Angie knew they needed a professional. So they hired a contractor and paid him $3,000 up front.
We liked him. He presented himself well, and and we both felt like that he really, was going to try to do the best job possible.
Summer came and went, but the contractor, well, he just never came back. And his excuses started piling up.
Every time I called, it was, it's raining, and we're going to be out there in a week, we're going to be out there in 2 weeks, Then I called him again, and it was, my mom's sick, and, it just kind of seemed to drag on.
That's when they decided to contact TrustDALE.
We got the TrustDALE people. I called them, and they came out, and I think between them and having made a police report and the police calling them, we came to some agreement that they would give us $1,500 at the end of this month, and for the next 3 months, give us $500.
Making Mary grateful for the help getting her money back.
I just want to thank you and your staff for working with us and getting us started.
Engaging with you is an important part of all our investigations, and we're interested in hearing what you have to say on our Facebook page. Plus, we want to answer the consumer questions you have, like this one from David. He says, my wife and I were working with builders on a new home and had given them a non-refundable deposit of $5,000. After long delays in which they were trying unsuccessfully to get building permits, we decided to terminate the contract. Nearly a year later, they still don't have the permits, yet they will not return our deposit. Are they legally obligated to return the $5,000? Well, David, it's all about contracts. If the contract says the deposit was non-refundable, you may be out of luck. But if they did not fulfill the terms of the contract, you may be entitled to a refund. My advice, have a real estate attorney review the contract to see if you have a case. On our Facebook page, we get a lot of positive feedback. For Faulty Filter, Jenny said, thanks Dale for helping this family. Hope all is right with their vehicle. And Sherry says, yay, TrustDALE saved the day. And we're glad that Pep Boys did the right thing. For the deck disaster, Andy says, the whole thing should have been taken down to begin with. Codes have completely changed so much on decks. Just about everything that guy did was wrong. We agree, Andy. Helping people find solutions to seemingly unsolvable consumer problems is what we do. If you have a consumer problem you think is unsolvable, let us know and keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube page. I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. We'll see you next time. TrustDALE Investigates.